Welcome back to another episode of your favourite podcast. Well, it's our favourite podcast anyway. I want to ask you about this. Is it real or is it fake? The president of the Philippines was reported at a Japanese conference to have gone up onto the stage and, referring to an opposition politician, have said, I used to be just like him. I used to be gay too, but I cured myself by going out with my first wife. I'm no longer gay.
See, I actually saw that in quite a reputable news outlet, I think, as reputable as they can be. And I think that is true. I think it's true because Rodrigo Duterte, is it?
Something like that.
Yeah, he's an absolute fruitcake. He is a nutter. Yeah, I absolutely believe that is true. And I believe that he actually thinks that happened as well. I think that he's so wired up incorrectly in his brain that he was gay and then just decided not to be by going out with a woman.
I could well believe that, but his level of obsession with homosexuality is unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not always one for saying like people who are obsessed with it are necessarily in the closet themselves.
Yeah.
That was quite a revealing comment though, when he said, I used to be gay and now I'm not.
Yeah.
But
he always told the world, right, is that he used to think he was gay, now he's bisexual and bigoted.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's a bit of a shock for his first wife.
Yes.
Then he invited women up on stage to kiss him. He said, unmarried women, come up and kiss me. I'll prove to you that I am heterosexual. Or something to that effect.
That's raising some red flags there, isn't it?
Yeah, come and touch my boner. You'll know it's true.
Can you just imagine, you're at a business conference in Japan, and you're the master of ceremonies, or you're the Japanese prime minister or whatever, and someone says, the president of the Philippines wants to say something. You think, this should be interesting. They're a valued trade partner. And he just goes up and he talks about one of his own opposition politicians about how he's gay. He's like, well, he can change that because I used to be gay as well. And you're just sat there thinking...
it must have been absolutely surreal. I'd have loved to have been there.
Well, I consider myself very fortunate that Mike asked Guy this question, because as you were reading it, I was going, no fucking way. Nobody in a pub would say that, let alone a prime minister of a country in public. Who
thrives on his strongman reputation.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about it, because he's... At one point says, no, we're not going to have same-sex marriage. And another says, we could change the law. There's no reason why we couldn't. And then the next he's like, Philippines will never allow this. We are a moral country. Yeah. So he just sounds very confused on many levels.
Monday, heterosexual. Tuesday, bisexual. Wednesday, gay. Monday, Thursday, heterosexual again. That's what it is.
I mean, it has a bit of a love-in with Trump as well, although he has turned away from America in recent years. Filipino politics, for some reason, absolutely fascinates me. It's one of my weird little interests, so I'll probably subject you to an entire episode on it one day. That guy is he's an absolute head case in so many ways. Yeah. I don't think he's actually reported on sufficiently in this country compared to Trump, because he is doing some absolutely diabolical things over there.
Yeah.
He's declared open season on anyone with drugs.
Yeah.
They're all drug dealers. Kill them all, you won't be prosecuted.
Yeah.
So I've got a friend who lives in the Philippines. And he lives in, I think it's Cebu, and he lives right in the ghetto and everything. And, he just routinely sends me pictures of the dead bodies that are in the street outside his house. He sends the photos over. He says, there was another dead body this morning. What the fuck's going on? Why are you living there?
Yeah.
He says, I like it here. He's not wired up right either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. It's just, he says all his boy mates are assassins, and they go out and they kill drug dealers. And that's what they do.
What's worse is it's leading to a culture of nobody pissing anybody off under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Because if I piss you off, you report me for being a drug dealer, I'm dead the next day.
Yeah.
They're literally handing out guns in the street, and the president is saying, you can use these guns, but they can only be used against criminals. Yeah. It's like, how can you possibly believe that people just won't take the time to settle old scores and just kill whoever they want? Because these are high-powered machine guns as well. They're not just...
See, I was going to say at the start of this that I was really relieved to find out that Trump wasn't the worst premier of the country. But now I'm saddened. I'm not delighted to find out that Trump's only the second most insane leader of the world.
So we're here with newly minted Labour socialist superstar, Guy Matthews, star of a recent Labour Voices video which made shockwaves around the political world. welcome, Guy, and we hope you'll be a fantastic contributor going forward to the show.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
In your many guises.
Yeah, so one of the first questions we ask in these interview kind of sessions is what inspired your socialism in the first place? What formed you as a socialist?
What formed me as a socialist?
Yeah.
I grew up in a stately home. This is just total class war story, this. I grew up in a stately home. My mum was the cleaner. My dad was the groundsman. We had a cottage attached to it. One of my earliest memories is I was in the nursery of this stately home of Lord and Lady Eccles. And one of my earliest memories is being playing with some toy car or something in the nursery, and the lady came in and snatched it off me. She goes, "That is not for the likes of you." That is one of my youngest memories.
No way.
Yeah, so as I grew up and as I got a bit older and I learned more about the class system, inequality and hereditary privilege and all that kind of stuff, it made me realise why I always sort of hated the aristocracy, and just sort of fell into socialism after that. And then obviously Corbyn's election in 2015 gave me a political home. That was about it, really. Yeah, I've been fighting ever since.
Were there any particular influences or inspirations before the 2015 leadership election that kind of really drove you forward in sort of appreciation and embracing of socialism as an ideology?
Not particularly. I mean, I was always on the left, but it never really had form or definition. It was, sort of opposition to the Iraq War when I was a teenager, that kind of thing. But it just sort of seemed that there weren't really that many political figureheads about to show the way, as it were, until Corbyn was thrust front and centre. So you had all the centrism and triangulation of the Blair years, which is not inspirational. Before that, I was too young to take notice, really. Yeah, it was all Corbyn. That bloody Corbyn.
Coming from a very obviously working class background and working within, you told us about your job and it's very sort of working class. I imagine you find yourself around people who are quite sort of hold reactionary views. And I guess that was sort of the inspiration for your video as well, would it be fair to say?
Yeah, partly. Because I am working class and I'm surrounded by working class people, and so many of them do vote UKIP and Brexit Party and Tory and everything, and it's against their own interests. And a lot of them are racist as well. I just sort of wanted to get out there and say, the working class have got this image of racism and reactionary voting patterns and stuff like that. I just wanted to stand forward and say, no, Labour is the party of the working class. I'm proof of that because they represent me. And they do represent you, even if you don't believe that.
Just today we've launched a proposal. It's not actually policy yet, to stop renters paying council tax altogether and low-income house owners to stop paying council tax. I mean, that'll make a massive difference to the people of the town where I live. Massive.
Yeah.
40% of Mansfield earns less than £10 an hour.
I mean, I do think we are at a time of crisis for the party, not in terms of the direction we're going in, because that Corbyn's trajectory and the future trajectory of the party is absolutely what we need in terms of getting back to where we should never have left, really.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how we are the only party trying to sort of have a mature policy on Brexit by understanding that a parliamentary majority and a way of preventing a hard Tory Brexit can only come from being able to unite Remainers and Leavers under a single policy banner. And yet we're fragmenting on all sides because you're having this increasingly ossified and polarised political debate. I'm just wondering what your thoughts about that, where we should go in the future. I know it's a big question, but
it's uniting Leavers and Remainers. I don't think it can be done. I think we're stuck with this for decades. I really do. I've got absolutely no hope for that situation being resolved at all. You see Cameron on TV saying, "Oh no, I've got no regrets about calling Brexit though," and it's like, of course you haven't. You've shattered the country in half, almost literally in half, and you've buggered off, and you've got no regrets. Whilst it's the rest of us trying to deal with it, and it's the Labour Party trying to deal with it in a mature way. And then you've got the other parties who are just screaming at each other and pulling in opposite directions. And we do need to come together, but I can't see it happening at all, which is quite bleak.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, I think Leavers and Remainers can come together to fight austerity. Those people who voted for the Brexit Party know what it's like to be suffering under 10 years of the Tories. They know that once upon a time, 10 years ago, they could get a doctor's appointment on that day. Now, I know doctor's surgeries up and down the country where you can't even phone for an appointment on the day. You have to queue up outside at 8 o'clock in the morning, in the cold and the rain and the snow, whatever the weather is. How can a 94-year-old feeling under the weather queue up at 8 o'clock in the morning to get an appointment? It's ridiculous. And they also know that hospital appointments are getting cancelled left, right and centre, and that schools aren't as well funded as they used to be. Schools are asking parents for donations, and there's 20,000 cops been sacked since the Tories got into power, and violent crime and all sorts of crime has gone up massively. It's no coincidence. That's got to trickle into their thinking somehow, some way soon. And I think fighting austerity is the way forward. That's the way to unite us all. That's what I think anyway. But I'm more of an optimist than you, I think, Guy.
Yeah, probably. It wouldn't be difficult, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, though. Make it less about Brexit, less about being in or out or whatever. Make it about... Because whether you vote Leave or Remain, what people want is a better life.
Absolutely.
It's just different. They've got different views on how to do that. So if you can somehow switch the debate away from in or out, Leave or Remain, and turn it back onto fighting austerity and making things better for people as a community, as a national community, then that could see some headway.
Yeah. I think the establishment's greatest trick over the last 10 years, particularly the last 3 years, is persuading everybody that Brexit's the number one issue facing the country. And I'm not saying it's not important, and I'm not saying we should disrespect all those leavers. I voted Remain, but in a second referendum I'd vote out, and I still think we should leave, because the majority decided. I think it's dangerous to say we've had one vote, so we can never have another vote. But that's not what we were asked. We were asked, do we want to stay, do we want to leave? And the country voted out. So I still think we should leave. The other day, I thought, how many issues are more important than Brexit? And in 2 minutes, I picked 10. 7 of them had involved the death of UK citizens. Grenfell, Windrush, the care systems, the state the NHS is in. Loads and loads of other issues that are way more important. Life or death issues for citizens in this country. You know, anybody who's remotely patriotic should vote anti-austerity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How did you vote in the referendum?
I voted Remain, but I think if it was held again, I'd vote to leave. If we had a Labour government, I'd vote to leave. Then we had another referendum. If we still had the Tories, I'd vote to Remain because I don't trust them. I mean, look at the total bollocks they've made of it already. That was one of my main reasons for voting Remain in the first place. Because, I knew the arguments that you said about workers' rights and EU's a neoliberal capitalist institution, but trying to trust in the Tories to prove workers' rights and make your lives better by taking us out of the EU, it's like asking an arsonist to save you from a burning building. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Finally found somebody who agrees with my way of thinking, because I voted Remain for exactly the same reason.
Yeah.
Under a Labour government, I would have voted out, but I could not trust this malfeasant bunch of I can't even say it without swearing, Tories who I already hated more than Thatcher's administration. At least they had the bottle to resign when they were caught with their hands in the till.
Yeah.
At least they had shame.
Yeah.
This lot, no shame at all. The minority is so small that they can't afford to be sacked or resigned at Winnie, even though she's lost like 22 ministers since she came into power.
I think that is like an underselling. That's an underestimate, to be honest.
It's definitely in the 30s.
Right.
The amount of ministers she's lost. And
Right. Well, so I couldn't trust this bunch of idiots to take control of the single biggest thing to happen to I know we haven't got a constitution, but our way of life for hundreds of years, and improve our rights and improve how we look after the environment. The Tories, no. So that's why I voted to Remain.
It's like today. Trump's stood there. He said the NHS is on the table. We did Brexit because you wrote on the side of a bus 350 million quid a week for the NHS.
Yeah.
Let's fund our NHS instead. Now they're on about selling it to the bloody Americans.
Yeah.
So that just absolutely proves what we're saying there, that you cannot trust the bloody Tories with Brexit at all. You can't.
You can't trust Farage with Brexit because he'd do the same. He is on the record. He is on the record multiple times saying we need to end the way the NHS is funded, and we need to think about privatisation.
We need to move to an insurance-based system. And yet Farage's biggest donor is what's-his-face, Aaron Banks, who owns insurance companies.
Fancy that.
If you can't join those dots, you shouldn't be voting.
But he's a patriot. He's a patriot. How
Drinks
can you?
pints, smokes fags, just like me and you.
Man of the people. Man of the people.
Which people?
Yeah, bankers.
Yeah.
How did the video come about? The Labour Voices video.
Oh yeah. I wrote a post on Facebook last year, start of May time it was, end of April, which basically ended up being the script for the video. But it went sort of mega viral, like 60,000 shares or something. And then obviously it came up on everyone's memories on Facebook this year, so it picked up a bit more traction. And Simon Baker saw it. I think you'll have worked with him with Sonia when they did the PPB.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
He saw it and got in touch. And it sort of went from there. 3 days later, I was walking up and down my nan's street, talking to a camera. Terrifying having a camera pointed at you. Really is.
We didn't like it. We none of us liked it. But you did such a good job. And I can remember a couple of weeks before the video was made or released, because I'd seen people, random people I didn't know post. I knew it was your post from back in the day. I can remember screenshotting it and sending it to you. It's getting everywhere.
Yeah. What people don't know is that I wrote that viral post when I was half pissed on my way out into town.
Very good.
Well, genius strikes at all kinds of times.
Yeah.
And what are its current views?
Oh, the video, I think it's at about 2.8 million. Which
That's
is really
brilliant.
annoying because it didn't get to 3. But, But yeah, we've got a new one coming out on Wednesday featuring Michelle Dorrell, the Conservative voter from Question Time, who is now a Labour councillor. That'll probably be out by the time this podcast goes out. But it's definitely worth checking out because she's going to do better than me.
It's brilliant. It's really good story, that.
Yeah.
She voted Tories because she thought that they'd have the interests of her family at heart. And then, less than a year after the election, she was crying on Question Time saying, "How come you've let me down?"
Yeah.
And now she's a Labour Party councillor and a staunch socialist. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant story. Politics is a persuasion game after all.
There's a sort of tribalish mentality sometimes, as you were referring to earlier, by people saying, "Oh, well, she voted Tory before. What an idiot!" It's like, this is brilliant. This is exactly the kind of thing you should be encouraging.
Yeah.
Well, do they think like socialists just grow on trees, and if we just wait a couple more cycles, there'll be more of them?
New crop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. You have to convince, and like you were talking about in your post, win the working class back, make them see that their interests are not being protected by this criminal enterprise masquerading as an administration.
Yeah.
And one thing, from a personal point of view, one thing that I particularly loved about your video was that there were 4 different swear words in it. Because I swear all the time. I find it hard not to swear on the podcast.
Well, it's how people talk.
Yeah, it is.
Me and Simon were talking about it and stuff, and he took my post and chopped a few bits out and says, "Oh, I think this will work." And I was, "Oh, you've left the swearing in?" He says, "Yeah, well, it makes it more authentic." I think politicians should swear.
Yeah.
If politicians swear off camera, I think they should swear on camera.
Yeah.
Because it puts this divide up.
So you're a big fan of Vince Cable then, with his bollocks to Brexit?
I wouldn't say I was a big fan of Vince Cable,
And
but
John
I quite like bollocks to Brexit. It's not a bad slogan.
And John Major calling his cabinet bastards.
Thanks for that, Guy, and you're welcome to come along to future episodes as a fully paid up member of the team.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So yeah, thanks for listening.